So, back around 2005, 2006 maybe, I discovered a love for something that I didn't even realize was a thing. At least not in the modern world. But I discovered classic radio. Old-time radio. The radio that the world had before television. And I was amazed, to discover how big of an industry this was and how much content there was. Like, I know we're living in a world now with more content than ever, so it's, it's nothing compared to today, but just think back to the 1990s, a time before streaming, and you had all these different series and movies and movie of the week and whatnot on broadcast television, on antenna TV. And there's a good amount of stuff. I mean, really, we had, 3 or 4 channels and quite a variety, really, of actual shows to entertain us. So, imagine that, but in radio format. Completely audio. Now, I didn't realize how extensive it was. That's what I'm saying. I discovered it when I first started as a truck driver. I had Sirius XM radio, and I found a station called Radio Classics, and that's all they do, right? If you don't have or have never listened to Sirius XM, or you've never scrolled up to, I think it's channel 148 now, but back then it was channel 118, and if you don't know about this, it is a channel that completely takes you back in time from the late 1920s all the way up to the early 1960s when radio had its heyday. And it is chock full of series that I didn't even know, that I knew as television shows and had no idea that they originally started out as audio dramas on the radio. Shows like Dragnet and Gunsmoke and As the World Turns, Have Gun Will Travel, and then there was a ton of science fiction shows. And I've always been a huge fan of science fiction, and classic science fiction is something I have a soft spot for. Stuff like The Twilight Zone, the original 1960s Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, things like that. And there were a ton of science fiction audio dramas. Even like War of the Worlds. Everyone knows about War of the Worlds and how it was a radio broadcast, and I don't know how accurate the story is, but they say that a lot of people turned on this radio broadcast and missed the introduction of it and thought it was a real alien invasion. So, but that is from this era of only radio, no television. And I discovered just how much you can really be entertained through audio only. Like when it's just your imagination imagining what the characters look like and how they would move and things like that. It's just like watching a TV series. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's cheesy because of the era, because of the time period. A lot of it's cheesy, but I discovered some stuff that I never would have known about, had I not happened to switch to that station on Sirius XM. And I just fell in love with the entire era of radio. It was incredible, man. I just got engrossed and sucked into it, and I would listen to it every night while I was driving for hours and hours. And I think I've heard every episode of the Jack Benny program probably that was ever on radio. That's probably one of the big things that stuck with me from that time period when I was listening to that station a lot was I developed this love for Jack Benny, the Jack Benny program, and because it eventually became a TV show as well. It's a variety show. It's a comedy variety show, and it became a very popular TV show as well. But he started on the radio. Also, they would have movies, like, played out, basically people reading scripts and making sound effects, and all these dramas where they would enact entire, basically, movies in your mind, or TV series in your mind. It's incredible, man. Shows like X-1, and, like, what else? Phil Harris and Alice Faye, and just incredible shows, man. So many of them. I couldn't name them. I couldn't even come close. I'm telling you, just Google old-time radio shows, and you'll get a list of, like, thousands of radio shows just in America that were on. And if you're not familiar with this genre, with this era, I highly recommend that you go check out some classic radio. And you know what? It might not be for you. I'm kind of strange. Like, some of my interests are kind of weird. Like, I don't think I could ever get my wife into classic radio, the way I was. And it may not be a thing for people who are not stuck in the car or in a truck for hours and hours. If you're sitting around your house, you're probably going to opt for the Netflix or Prime or, something like that, like Hulu. You're not going to listen to radio dramas, but it's something I really enjoy, man. And even to this day, at work we have different, we drive different trucks sometimes. And, like, each night I could be in a different truck than I was the night before. And every once in a while I will get into a truck that has a Sirius XM subscription, and I will click it straight to that channel because I love it. Like I said, so many things started out on radio, man. Before the Adventures of Superman serials was ever on, it started in radio. It was complete audio dramas. And there's something I still get out of it. I don't know. I mean, if you can listen to an audiobook, you could probably enjoy one of these dramas. But they have all kinds for sale. Like, you can go online and look up classic radio, and you can buy a CD, or you can get downloads. Some websites even have free downloads of these shows. So, like I said, go try it out. Go try it out and see what I'm talking about. If you're into sci-fi, search for sci-fi shows. If you're into dramas, police dramas, I mean, shows that are so huge now, like CSI, Law and Order, all these shows, these detective dramas. It all started with radio, man. It all started with, like, Dragnet and True Stories of the FBI. And it may sound strange coming from a guy who's 35 years old, whose grandparents weren't even thought of, when these shows were on. And I get it. I know it's kind of strange. Maybe I'm just a weirdo, but I think there's a market for it. Like, I think there are people out there who enjoy it, and there must be more than just the people who are actually alive in that era who enjoy it. There's got to be, or else it wouldn't exist, right? It wouldn't still be a Sirius XM channel. They wouldn't be able to sell. They wouldn't have websites devoted to these things. But. And you know what else is great about it? Is it history, man. There's so much history in it. Like, you can hear what's going on at the time. There'll be updates about World War II during these broadcasts. A lot of times, like with this station at least, and on a lot of the, if you were to buy like a CD or something that had a recording of the original broadcast, a lot of it contains the original ads. And you hear some crazy stuff, dude. Like, you'll hear advertisements for cigarettes. Actually, some of these shows were sponsored by companies, right? So they would call it, like, the Lucky Strike program, right? The Lucky Strike cigarettes. It wouldn't be called the Jack Benny program, sponsored by Lucky Strikes. It'd be called the Lucky Strike program, starring Jack Benny. Crazy. And these ads you would hear for cigarettes would be like, about how smooth they are and how good they make your throat feel, and how, 9 out of 10 doctors smokes Lucky Strikes. Like, it's insane, dude. So, I don't know. I've probably gone on long enough talking about my love for classic radio, but hey, man, I'm making a podcast a day, and sometimes I talk about the random I think about. Like, this is an exercise in consistency to keep the creative juices flowing. Doing a podcast a day or a YouTube video a day, just to keep that creativity pumping even when it doesn't want to. So I'd love to hear from other people who love classic radio. I can't be the only one. Please leave me a comment below if you also enjoy classic radio, if you know what I'm talking about, if you also have this passion that I do for radio classics. Just drop me a comment. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, share it. I don't know how many people are going to want to share it. It's not really that. Anyway, yeah, love classic radio. I love it still to this day, and I don't think I'll ever not love it. You know, it's even if I heard every single episode of every show, there's something about it so nostalgic. Anyway, if you like this sort of thing where I just kind of talk about what's on my mind each day, it could be anything. It could be a viral news story. It could be a movie I just saw and I want to do a review on it. It could be something very personal. It could be stories from my life. Just whatever I feel like talking about. If you're into that sort of thing, subscribe for more, because that's what I do here. I'm putting out, as I said, a podcast or a YouTube video every single day for as long as I can. If you want to join me in that journey, subscribe for more. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you tomorrow.